Some people use these kinds of windows when they're building a project, be it a tiny home or a house or a camp or whatever. These are the kind of windows that come wrapped in plastic, and you just buy them and you stick them in a hole and you're done. Some people don't see the fun in just buying everything they need. They kind of like the challenge of thinking outside the box and making do. And sometimes it causes a lot of grief and a lot of time, but in this case, kind of a medium amount of grief and medium amount of time, and ended up with some really nice windows front and back. So let's take a look and see how we got here. Picked up 5 windows this morning on the cheap. They're all fixed, but I'm gonna make 2 of these 3 swing. Yeah, so the one in the middle I'm gonna leave fixed, and this one and that one I'm gonna have swing out like a casement window. Have to build a frame around them or something. And I got these 2 long skinny ones, and these are gonna go above in the bedroom, which is gonna have a very low ceiling. So it'll go across up high. Well, not even up high. This will go above the bed, and I think there'll be room in the loft to put the other one. So this is one of the 2 windows that I'm gonna make operable like a casement window. It was built as a fixed window, but you know, it was a deal, so I couldn't pass it up. So I'm going to use this hinge like this. Well, I'm not going to use this hinge, it's too small. I'm going to make bigger hinges like this, maybe this big, to pivot it. And this is that kind of plastic that glue does not like to stick to. But this window has this track on the inside of it with some recesses. So I think if I glue it and the glue goes in that recess, it can't come out. I don't think it'll come out. Now these plastic windows tend to sag with time, so I will have to make a landing strip so when it's closed, which it'll be 99% of the time because we won't be there, it'll be have a little weight bearing thing right here. But other than that, should be good.
I drew out what I think is going to work as far as the size and shape, and I'm cutting them out of a piece of fiberglass that came from, guess what, an old boat. And you see that grinding wheel? That is a diamond tip grinding wheel, and it is the first one I've bought, and it has cut miles of fiberglass, and it's still cutting good. So man, that was the best 10 bucks I've ever invested. Anyway, I think I got 4 of the 8 out of this piece of glass, and then I found another piece of glass and cut another 4. You can see it's raining on me, but I don't like to cut fiberglass inside the shop. I like to be outside with this fan blowing so I don't get all itchy.
I get 4 pieces out of this 1 piece of glass, and I have more glass, so I think I'll have enough fiberglass. If not, I probably could substitute a few of them with aluminum. I'm gonna cut these out.
So this is a piece of glass that I grabbed to cut the other 4 hinges. I had 4 rights, now I need 4 lefts. And this was a hatch, and it had a wood core, and in spite of every other piece of wood on this entire boat being totally rotten, the wood in this core was like new, and that made cutting a little more challenging because in spite of the fact that the diamond wheel will go right through the glass with no problem, it struggles with wood. It basically just kind of burns its way through. It takes a while, makes a lot of funky smoke. It's another reason I don't like to cut this stuff inside the shop. So now I am amputating the top layer of glass, which is the heavier layer, from the wood and the bottom layer of glass. This is polyester construction, so even though they did a pretty good job when they built this, it doesn't really stick to the wood that great. So some of it just came completely loose from the wood, but some of it stayed. Some of the wood stayed on there, and I'll later either chisel it off or sand it off. I had to spend a few more minutes on these last 4 hinges because of this wood stuff. So with the belt sander upside down and standing on the cord to keep it from running away, I'm in front of these 2 running exhaust fans because I can't get outside because it's pouring down rain. I am shaping the hinge panels, not doing a whole lot, just kind of straightening the edges and making the little curves a little prettier. and then sand in the front and the back to knock the bumps off and to get it flatter and make sure that the glue's going to hold by giving it some teeth. I think this was 50 grit on the sander. I think that's the coarsest grit I have, and it works fine. It'll eat this fiberglass out.
So I've got 4 pairs of hinge leaves. I clamped them together, drilled them all at the same time. Thought might help a little bit. And I'm ready to put them on the frames. The frame has this negative little recess, which I think will help hold glue. And I may drill a few holes too to give it some more mechanical bite. I'm pretty confident I can drill holes without breaking the glass. Let's give it a shot. Okay, we have hinges. I think they're going to be all right. I now need to cut the window stool. I'm assuming this is the bottom of the window. I don't think it makes any difference. But I got these set upside down, and I need to cut a window stool. And I need to cut it as short as I can because my wall's real thin. So it's going to stick inside a little bit. It'll be sticking in proud, but I don't want to have it sticking in any more than we have to. So let me do some ciphering. I think if I cut it 2 inch long each way, that'll be plenty. I can trim it to width later. So I'm gonna cut them 29 inches long. That'll be one thing I can do. The bottom, no, the window's tops are so much easier because I'm not dealing with a sloping windowsill that was messing with my head. So I just cut a recess for the other part of the hinge, and I was able to get some screws in it. So I'm gonna take the screws off and put some epoxy and screw it, and then probably keep working on it right away and move my sides. I might even get these windows in today. First side frame in place, long screws through the top, pocket screws on the bottom, which I don't entirely trust, but they should hold it until I can complete the fabrication. Now flip it over and put some long screws through the bottom too. So I'm gonna put this other side on, rolling. The hard part, or the tedious part, hopefully is behind me.
So it turns out I have no video of making the sill, the bottom part, which was somewhat complicated with the slope and the recess for the hinge. It hurt my head, but I got it figured out and I got it done. And that gray plastic you're looking at, that's the landing pad. That's so when the window's closed, which it will be for almost all of its life, it's supported on the outside edge, and that's going to resist the plastic from sagging. Well, it really can't sag in the closed position. And here I am running the planer across the edge, putting a bevel on the edge because I got a little bit of a conflict on the trailing edge when I go to try to shut it in the window frame. So the 2 operable windows are ready to install. I just got to cut the holes the right size because the holes are way too small right now.
Okay, I got the 2 outside rough openings resized, hopefully to fit the windows. We're gonna go around and stick a window in.
When I cut the OSB to make the hole the correct size, I kind of boogered up the white house wrap, the paper, the waterproofing paper, and I kind of regret that I didn't put another piece of paper in the sill, because this is one of the very few spots where water could theoretically get behind that paper and get to the wall. Now it's going to be caulked and everything else, but I wish I would have done a little bit better job on the paper. I did on the center window.
So the middle window is the fixed glass, so I made the frame the right size, and I just ran screws through the wood into the plastic. And even though I knew I wasn't anywhere close to the glass, it would kind of freak me out every time. So I'm just put the outside trim on this one. It'll be ready to go in the hole.
So you're witnessing, or going to witness, what was very close to a bad thing happening. I got the window and I stepped up on the tongue of the trailer, and I didn't quite have the momentum or the strength to get up there, and I went to step back down and my tennis shoe grabbed for a second the little trailer hitch deal, and if my shoe wouldn't have come loose, I would have dropped that glass and it would have broken into a million pieces and I would have cried like a baby. My shoe came loose. It was just a little fraction of a second deal where I was a little scared there for a second. It's amazing how fast you can process thoughts about falling down when your feet don't go where they're supposed to go. But anyway, the window's in the hole. It fit. They all line up pretty darn good. And the front is as far as the windows are concerned, it's complete.
Since my homemade hinges on the front windows were successful, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the next set for the two back windows. I've been waiting to cut these because I really wasn't confident about that hinge situation, but I'm gonna cut them, and I found a piece of plastic at the foundry that didn't have the wood glued to the back, so this is gonna be much easier to cut and work with.
Now the piece of fiberglass I found for the hinges for the back windows is much better piece, much more uniform in thickness. So it took much less remedial work to get them usable.
I'm thinking that hinging these horizontal windows is going to be much easier than the front ones. For one thing, the plastic that I cut the hinges out of is much more uniform in thickness. That other stuff was pretty wonky. And two, the hinges are going to go on the side, and I won't have to be dealing with the slope of the window stool and figuring out the hinges and all that stuff. The side's flat and the side jamb will be flat, so I think it'll just be a whole lot simpler, I hope. I'm using a new gluing procedure on the second set of windows. I drilled my anchor holes for the epoxy to have something to bite in, and I roughened up the back of the hinge, and I pre-drilled and kind of sunk some holes so I can run a screw right in that little crack like this. So now, it's dry, so I'm gonna take it off and glue it and put it back with the screws, and theoretically I could just keep on working, except it'd be sticky. I did that because it's going to be so hard to clamp. This the other side is not easy to get a clamp on. This way I don't have to clamp it. So I made the 4 side pieces for these 2 windows, and I'm going to glue the plastic to them before I go any farther. And I don't have any screws that short, so I'm gonna have to glue and clamp it, so it's a one and done for the day. But that's okay, I got other things I can do. And just like that, the 2 back windows are installed. Well, it wasn't just like that. It took a little while. And the hole that I made, my rough opening, was plenty wide enough, but it wasn't tall enough, which caused a lot of work to have to try to cut a 1/4 inch off of the sill on each one with a skill saw. But other than that, pretty happy with this. So now we'll have a little daylight and a little ventilation in this little back area where we're gonna put a bed. And up on the loft, same thing. Make it a little less claustrophobic up there. So my plan for weatherproofing these windows when the time comes will be to, instead of having trim come from the jamb away from the window, I'm gonna let it overlap, maybe 3/8 or a half, and find some sort of foam that I can glue. And find, yeah.
I figured out the confusion.
What? So I'll have this like this, and I'll find a piece of foam that I can glue to the back of the trim. Obviously this is not trim. So when the window's pulled shut, it'll bed into this foam all the way around. And another thing I'm gonna have to do, I cut some aluminum strips to pop rivet and glue to the bottom and the top to fix a latch to and a handle, because screws just don't hold in this plastic. I gotta do something else. So between the pop rivets and the glue, I think the aluminum will be pretty strong, and then I can drill and tap the aluminum, and then we'll have something. So let's wrap up the window deal. These two were a roadside find. They were free, and they're worth pretty much what we paid for them. Pretty close. That's the lock position. But anyway, they'll work. These two, 30 bucks a piece. I couldn't have bought a window that fit as well as these two fit. The one down here and the one up there, super lucky to find these. This is a low sliding glass window, perfectly adequate. Nothing special, reasonably priced. And then we have the three in the front, 30 bucks a piece. I could have bought windows like this, but I'm glad I didn't. These are better quality glass, I believe, and super happy with them. So thanks for watching me messing with the windows, and sheet metal's coming next.